It's a beautiful morning. I guess that's have to start off with that, and a little more like early fall than late summer. Temperatures here currently similar to yesterday morning, upper 40s and low 50s, which is a change from what we've seen a lot during a lot of the growing season here. But there are some changes ahead, and I'll talk about those in just a second. Looking at the week in review, some colors that we haven't seen a whole lot of with our mean temperatures. On the left, you can see that we had below normal temperatures for the weekend. Actually had to go all the way back to May to find a week with similar departures from normal, but you can see most of the state here generally range from 2 to 4 degrees below the long-term normals. A little bit greater departures in the northern part of the state. Bigger news, I think, though, on the right-hand side here was the precipitation. Much of the change that we saw here with the cooler temperatures came about because of a big upper air change that took place over the weekend. And some spots had 4 consecutive days of rainfall. We haven't seen that a lot, at least not in southern parts of the state here. But you can see on the right-hand side, for a change, the majority of the precipitation, the highest totals, fell across central and southern lower Michigan, including areas that really, really needed it, especially in the southeastern part of the state. But you can see widespread 1 inch, some cases better than 2 inches of rain fell here. Again, mainly the middle of the weekend, Saturday into the Tuesday type time frame, and we had good coverage. That's important because, again, we had intensifying dryness in many areas of the state, but especially across the south. The U.S. Drought Monitor last week actually moved up 54% of the state into either D0, abnormally dry, or category D1, which is moderate drought. The driest parts of the state still, at least in terms of long-term deficits, are here across southeastern sections of the state, from the southeastern corner of the Lower Peninsula northward up into the Thumb, and that's really it has been the driest area here over the last few weeks. Given this rainfall, though, hopefully things will stabilize and maybe improve a little bit from where they've been. Looking ahead here, I mentioned big changes coming, and I've got 2 maps here looking at upper airflow across North America. The first one depicts upper air conditions, jet stream conditions right now as we speak, and you can see a trough right over the Great Lakes region. That's been the direct physical cause of our recent change in weather to cooler and wetter. But we saw this last week. We talked about it. One of the questions was, how long would this change or this troughing pattern persist? And at the time, we thought, well, maybe it'll be here for a week, maybe even a little bit longer than that. But since then, we have the forecast guidance has strongly suggested that no, it's not going to be that long. It's much shorter than that. And what you have here on the right-hand side are projected conditions here for this Sunday morning. And what you can see here, especially given the colors, you can see a ridge has popped back up right over the Midwest and over the Great Lakes region, which signals a return to summer-like conditions here later this weekend. So we had a brief change from a lot of what we've seen this growing season, but we are going to be moving back. That's the bottom line of the forecast here. And then looking specifically, here's our surface map this morning. You can see a big area of high pressure over all the Great Lakes region. That's the direct cause of our sunny, fair, dry, and cool weather. And it's going to be with us here for at least a couple more days. I'll move into tomorrow morning. Not a whole lot of change. Today and tomorrow, at least in terms of weather, I don't think you can get much better for outdoor activities. It's going to be a couple degrees warmer today than it was yesterday. Most areas in the mid-70s or so, maybe a couple of upper 70s in the south, and then a couple degrees warmer than that tomorrow. There will be a distinct noticeable warming trend, especially as we move towards the weekend here. But low humidities, not much. There'll be a little bit of a breeze in the afternoon, but just an absolutely delightful, glorious day here, both today and tomorrow, albeit a little bit warmer. Our low temperatures here, though, over the next couple of days, and high temperatures will increase back up to above normal levels, probably as early as Saturday, but more likely by Sunday. We should see high temperatures back up well into the 80s once again, and then our nighttime temperatures warming up from where they've been, 40s and 50s. We actually had some 30s in upper Michigan here reported yesterday morning, but we'll be warming back up consistently into the 60s for overnight temperatures here by the weekend, and probably stay there into the early part of next week. Here finally is Saturday morning at 8 o'clock, and you can see the next weather system approaching here from the west. It's a frontal boundary, and that will lead to the next chance for anything significant in the way of precip, probably later in the day, the western upper peninsula, spreading south and eastward overnight Saturday into Sunday. And then that frontal boundary, which you see out here, this cool warm front, it's going to stall out as it makes its way into the Great Lakes region and sit there for a few days, which is going to result in an almost daily chance for showers or a thunderstorm. It looks like the greatest risk for most areas will probably be on Monday, but we're looking at a chance anywhere from late Saturday, overnight Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, possibly even persisting into Wednesday. So a prolonged, sort of an unsettled period, certainly much warmer than it has been back up into the 80s. And that's really our best chances for precipitation here the upcoming week. In terms of totals for this upcoming week, ranging from quarter to half an inch across southern portions of the state to half to maybe 3/4 of an inch in the north. So it's not going to be a really wet week. It doesn't look like, at least from the guidance here. Most of this, all the precipitation you see here is what we just talked about for the middle of the weekend into early next week. But it looks like it will be higher chances and greater aerial coverage across northern parts of the state than the south. Lyndon mentioned this product, forecast totals for potential evapotranspiration. This is the reference one we use that's used for irrigation scheduling. And for the upcoming week, you can see most of these values here somewhere between 1.2 and 1.3 inches for the weekly period. So you're talking about daily rates on average of about 0.16 up to about 0.18. That's a little bit above normal, and it has to do mostly with those warmer temperatures that will be coming here this weekend and then in early next week. So a little bit above normal water demand forecast for the upcoming week. Medium range forecast guidance, and I mentioned this with that jet stream change once again. This map looks an awful like we've had several versions of this particular map, upper air, with a ridge over the middle of North America, a trough out over the west, and a little bit of a trough here over the northeast. That's very, very well. We've seen that many times, and so with that pattern, though, high likelihood of warmer than normal temperatures, warmer than normal weather here, and you can see that in the upper right for the entire central part of the U.S., including Michigan and the Great Lakes. Precipitation's a little bit more of a tough call. The 6 to 10 day outlook here for the 11th through the 15th does call for normal to above normal precipitation totals. You can see that here in the green. The 8 to 14 day outlook, while it does strongly also call for warmer than normal weather, it actually suggests normal to below normal. And we've seen a hint of below normal forecasts of precipitation with the 3 to 4 week outlook, and also in the revised monthly outlook for August. But I don't know that I buy that right. Personally, as of yet, it's a tough call. I think right now we'd have to put it maybe in normal category. One thing we do know, though, there's a great deal more confidence of the warmer than normal temperatures here. August likely will end up as a warmer than normal month, despite here the recent cooler temperatures. I think that's a strong likelihood. So summarizing here, beautiful conditions for the next couple of days with fair conditions over most of the state here through Saturday. Maybe we could do even a little bit better than that, but there will be a chance for showers and thunderstorms once again by the overnight hours on Saturday, and then continuing into early next week. Significant warming trend at the same time from highs today in the 70s and lows in the 50s. Will be warming up into the 80s again and lows in the 60s by the weekend. So from below normal, once again back up to above normal. And medium range forecast guidance, as you just saw, is fairly consistent once again in suggesting that we do go back to warmer than normal and probably stay there for a while. So with that, I'd like to move on and introduce our guest speaker here next week, the 13th of August. That's Dr. Kim Cassada, who's going to be with us and speaking about alfalfa toxicity. So don't miss that. Again, that's a week from now on next Thursday. And with that, I will wrap up, and I think I'm going to turn it over to Phil to talk about our UP credits.